beautiful people. Welcome to Susan Love TV from Susan and Family TV. So how are you all doing? Hope you are doing great. As for me and my daughter, we are doing super great by His grace. Amen. And we wish the same for you out there. Amen. So beautiful people, welcome to another entertaining, educative, interesting, inspiring video from Susan Love TV, from Susan and Family TV. So beautiful people, this is not the first video we just did. My daughter and I, we just did a video now, and the video went off, you know, in the camera in this channel Susan Love TV. The video can just like go off at any time, and we are talking about something which we didn't like complete it, and sometimes when we are doing video we don't complete it. I just leave it that way, but I just felt that we talk about something, and it's like we didn't talk about we are talking about two YouTubers from Nigeria. We talk about Mrs. Nelo, so we didn't talk about Mrs. Adaeze, which we are reacting to, that people made a YouTube a video commenting about them. So I decided, okay, let me make this part 2 video about Mrs. Adaeze. So beautiful people, please try watch the first video so that you'll be able to understand this second video. So beautiful people, today we are reacting to a video I watched in YouTube about a YouTuber who did a video that and the two Nigeria YouTubers, Mrs. Nelo KK and Mrs. Adaeze Space YouTubers, that Mrs. Nelo that just moved with her kids and husband to their new big house, that she is overreacting to her house, that she is over showing her house, you know, and that her friend, I think Mrs. Adaeze Space is her best friend, that Mrs. Adaeze is copying her. So try watch the first video, because we did a video already talking about Mrs. Nelo. So this time we are not going to talk about Mrs. Nelo in this part 2. Now we are going to talk about we have just talked about the comments the woman did, that she saw a lot of comments in her YouTube and China, that people commented Mrs. Nelo is overreacting, Mrs. Nelo is overshowing a new big house. So we just talked about that already in her first video we just did. I reacted to that already. So I'm going to be doing reaction now to Mrs. Adaeze, who they say is copying Mrs. Nelo. So beautiful people, so before the video went off, so I was like trying to like say in the video that the reason why Mrs. Nelo is overreacting, she's like super, like she's thinking that, oh, am I the one who owns this house? She's over blessed, she's happy, she's over, you know, she can't keep it all in herself. That is why she's like showing those things, and for us to know how they build the house, how the house came completed, you know. So I talked all about that. So I also went ahead and talked about her house help who is staying with her, and Ushe, that she no longer take Ushe like her house help, but she takes Ushe like her younger sister. I believe that also make the blessings for her and her family to be faster, because when we are kind, you know, that is why we always say it's good to be kind. When we are kind, what would have taken us to like achieve in 10 years, we will achieve it. We and our kids will achieve it in 5 years, because God sees our hearts is plain in our hearts. We are kind, you know, so to people. So that, I think, made Mrs. Nelo to be able, she and her husband, to build the house that they built within the year that they built the house. So now we are going to move over to Mrs. Adaeze. So according to the video I watched, so the woman said in her channel, in our video, that people commented that Mrs. Adaeze, who is Mrs. Nelo friend, I think their best friend, that Mrs. Adaeze is copying Mrs. Nelo, you know. So in this sense, I don't really know why people commented like that. I also made, before the first video went off, I also said for you to like and hate comment in someone shining, it's better you don't just watch the video at all. If you go on YouTube and you feel like anytime you go on the person's channel, you don't achieve anything, you don't get anything, you don't have anything that like inspire you, you don't learn anything from the channel, so I don't think you will continue going on clicking to that channel or even to watch the video. So if you are like going on Nelo Keke and you are like tired of seeing she's showing a big mansion, a beautiful house, and you are not comfortable with it, so why will you like continue, you know, going on a channel to be seeing the big house? Of course she cannot, because of you, stop showing what she wants to show on her channel. She cannot, because of you, the hate comments, or because you don't love her, to show the mansion she and her husband suffer to build, because you don't want her to show. She cannot, because of you, stop to be showing it, you know. So she knows the reason why she's showing those things. She's showing it for us to see more about her house. If she do one video, the house is big, maybe we will not see everything round inside about her house. So when she's showing the kitchen, she showed how they started it, how the kitchen came about. When she showed the parlor, just the same. So she cannot, because of you, stop, you know. So now they goes to like Mrs. Adaeze is copying her. So Mrs. Adaeze is her best friend. To me, beautiful people, I believe when someone is doing something good, I believe a friend can copy. I believe anyone can copy, you know. So as long as when you are copying the person, you are copying the person with love. When you are copying someone, you are copying somebody with love. It's not with hatred. It's not with jealousy, you know. So everyone is like, you know, everyone is entitled to like copy what is good. To me, I use myself as an example. I'm a mama, so when I see things in YouTube, when I see things people are doing, and I feel like that thing inspires me, I feel like I'm going to be able to like learn something great from that thing, I copy it immediately. I love to like, you know, do that same thing, because why? I feel like that thing will like bring an impact in my life, in my daughter's life, you know. I will just like sit down, take my time, even if it's a 1-hour video, I will watch it. Hey, mommy, there are a lot of videos I watch, like room makeover, living room makeover, kitchen makeover, everything. I always like watch those videos. I love it a lot. So when Mrs. Nelo Keke is showing about her kitchen, I watch it, her parlor, everything. I want to watch everything, you know. So she also show how she made the kitchen, how she and Ushe went, you know, for the mobile, the need for it and everything, how it came about. So I always love those things, you know, to watch, you know. So because it's about a home. So when maybe Mrs. Adaeze also want to copy her, maybe she also want to expand, because Mrs. Adaeze also expand her kitchen, her pantry, where she's putting her foodstuffs for her and the kids and husband and all, you know. So when she's like expanding her kitchen, expanding her pantry and all those things, she puts in on her channel, that doesn't mean that she's jealous. That just shows that, oh, if my friend, you know, like have a kitchen, have a home, and have a you know, amazing kitchen, okay, let me try as a friend. You know, they say best of the same feather flies together. Let me try as a friend, you know, let me renovate my kitchen. Since maybe Adaeze and the husband and the kids, they are not planning of maybe moving out now to another house, you know. So maybe that was why she renovated, Miss Adaeze renovated, you know, her kitchen and pantry, make it bigger, you know, spend a lot on it also, and she put it in her channel. So that doesn't mean, to me, that doesn't mean that she is jealous or she is copying. And if she copy, yes, she has the right to copy, because it's her friend. It can be that, okay, someone like their friends go to Mrs. Nelo house and they see the kitchen, you know. So they will also like, oh, another day, let's visit Mrs. Adaeze. Oh, Mrs. Adaeze is still in her house, but her kitchen is so beautiful, almost like Mrs. you know, Mrs. Nelo. So something like that. So when you copy someone, as long as when you are copying the person, it's not out of hatred. As long as you are copying somebody, it's not out of jealousy. Everyone is bound to copy each other, because why? We are all learning. No one is perfect. So beautiful people, hope you learned something from this video. So to me, if Mrs. Adaeze is copying Mrs. Nelo, to me, one, they are friends. They are like best friends. As long in the Mrs. Adaeze mind, she knows that she's not copying her friend Mrs. Nelo with hatred. She's not copying her with jealousy. So let Mrs. Adaeze go ahead and copy as many that she can, you know, through Mrs. Adaeze, Mrs. Nelo house, you know. As long as we also, just like what I say to you, sometimes I see things in the YouTube, room makeover, kitchen makeover, and things. Sometimes when my child and I will go, and when me and my daughter will go to shop, I see that I have money to buy that thing. I will just buy it, even if it's one. I will buy it. I come and add it, join, you know, what we have in the parlor, in my daughter's room, in the kitchen, or in my room. Because why do I do those things? Because why? I saw it on someone's shiny that I watched that, oh, when she did it in the room, she put it in the room or the kids room, it was beautiful. So I'll just buy it and put it in my daughter's room, even if it's one thing, or in the kitchen, I'll just buy it, you know. So it will beautify our apartments more. So beautiful people, is good to like always leave loving comments instead of you to leave hate comments. Oh, Mrs. Nelo, she's overreacting, she's overshowing, she's pompous, showing too much about her house. She and the husband, they suffered a lot. Did you know that Mrs. Nelo and the husband, they were in an apartment for years before they moved into a big house? Why will you jealous such couples? Why will you jealous a woman who suffered and had patience with her husband in the apartment and they move into a house, you know? Just like me and my daughter and I, we're in an apartment, and God do it for my daughter and I today. My daughter and I tomorrow will move into a full house with good health and long life for my daughter and me, amen. Then why will you jealous? You don't even think about the time my daughter and I, we stayed in an apartment, and my daughter and I, even we don't have balcony. Hey, mommy, do we have balcony? My daughter and me, we don't even have balcony. You will not even think, oh, and my daughter and me, we don't have balcony in the summer when it's hot. Oh, is it only the window we open so we cannot even sit at the balcony? Oh, there is no backyard, you know. So that was the kind of situation Mrs. Nelo and the kids and husband, they faced for years, because according to her, they stay long years in that apartment, and now they have full house. The woman is overjoyed. Let every one of us, we mamas, women out there, let's rejoice with Mrs. Nelo